Welcome back to Teaching Orchestra. This is the second demonstration video of the motion series. If you haven't watched the first video, please go back and watch movement on how to transfer your weight first. Now we're going to add the bow to this. So once your students have mastered moving correctly without an instrument or without a bow, now we can start adding the bow and moving against the bow. So a lot of times you'll see your students moving with the bow. It's very common. In fact, most of them will probably do it this way. So when you model for your students, either model the opposite direction. So if you're having them, and we always go to the left first. So as we're moving to the left, you as a teacher should go to your right, and then they'll mirror you. Otherwise, if you're doing it the other way, they might not. Or if that's an issue, you can just turn your back to the students, unless you've got any wild children in your class, and you got to watch your back, but for most of the time you'll be fine. So you can just turn your back and just kind of do it with them that way so they see you from a different profile. All right, so we're going to start with small motions first and work our way into the bigger motions. It's easier to learn movement patterns incrementally from small to big. It doesn't make a lot of sense to learn from big to small. So we're going to try half notes on the D string. All right, so we're going to set our bows on the D string about at the balance point, and we're just going to be working with about half the bow from the balance point, to about somewhere in the mid upper part of the bow, and back and forth, just 1, 2, 1, 2. We're going to practice moving against the bow. Now we're complicating this exercise by adding the bow, and it's a bimanual activity, so the bow is moving against the body, and so we're going to be seeing some changes here, and it might be confusing for the students as they're adding something to this neurological motion pattern. So we're just going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. Observe to make sure that they're not leaning, twisting the torsos, or doing any kind of extraneous motion, or that they're not moving with the bow instead of against the bow. Okay, half notes. 2, ready. See them start to overlean, you can kind of stop them and say, okay, this is where your balance runs out. Otherwise, you're off balance in this direction. And you can kind of assist them that way. If you see torso twisting, like if you see somebody twisting the torso, you can kind of just catch them from moving the torso here, and just make sure that they're able to move. Just shift the body weight is all we're really looking for. We're not really looking for, this isn't a dancing class right now, this is a string instruction class. So once they've mastered half notes, we're going to move to whole notes. So now we're going to use the whole bow. Okay, 1, 2, ready, go. Sometimes you'll see students overcorrect more and get off balance, so try to keep everybody within their frame and not moving outside of that frame, just shifting the body weight. Now I like to do 12 counts, sort of Michael Allen style, where it's just loud and bowing lane 2, and just lots of grip on the string so that we can make sure that we're getting good weight transfer all the way to the tip and having our motion assist us with this process. And so we're moving very slowly. It's almost meditative in a way, almost like Tai Chi Chuan or Qigong or something like that, where we're just transferring the weight very slowly, and so just get them to really think about the weight transfer and making sure that their body weight is lined up with the bow on the string. So if we're at the frog and they set the bow on the string, to line up your center of mass with the bow, you got to shift to the left, and as we bow, put your weight on the right, and as we bow, you got to transfer the weight to the left to make sure that your center of mass is always where the bow is on the string. Okay, let's set the bow. 1, 2, ready. make sure for overcorrecting. The larger the bows, the more we tend to autocorrect. We're also going to be watching for straight bows, making sure the bows aren't sliding around, and making sure that we've got good bow holes, and using all of this stuff to help make sure that we're in a good bowing lane playing with nice straight bows. You'll probably have to spend time after we introduce motion to reinforce those movement patterns of keeping straight bows, when to activate the elbow, the wrist, the shoulder joints, and even the fingertips. All right, and then in the next video, we're going to continue our motion series, and we're going to start talking about how to provide some accountability for our students so that they are encouraged to move more. See you next time.